So, welcome to this session. Okay, so this is really introduction to the course, and we're gonna go into project management. Okay, so the course intent is really to actually give you an understanding of project management. Okay, and the questions that you're going to be able to answer is in your, I think you've accessed Moodle, guys. Have you accessed Moodle? You know where all the questions are. If any of this, like if anything I mentioned that doesn't make sense, do ask me. But also you got your success coach that you can approach as well. But basically all your assignment is to fill in answers on Moodle, and there's questions there. If you don't know where it is or anything, we'll sort it out later. But there's question one, two, and three of unit one that this presentation is going to help you answer. Okay. So just to make sure that everything's working fine, which slide are you seeing right now? Are you seeing the course intent? No?
The welcome page.
Welcome page still. Okay, let me sort this out. Let me see why this is happening. Just bear with me a second. Okay. Has it moved on now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's a bit sluggish. Okay, so if I'm talking and it's not matching up with what I'm saying, just let me know, okay? Because it might actually but I brought up both screens, so I should be able to see what you're seeing now. Okay. Right. So it's really to understand project management, okay? Understand the principles of project management, understand the project life cycle and the key concepts, issues, risks when managing social media for e-commerce projects, and also understanding how to compare different methodologies, and then, be able to answer the questions on your Moodle platform, okay? So when you when we're talking about e-commerce, does everybody know what we're talking about when I say e-commerce?
Yes.
Okay, but you can put your hand up if you're not sure. If you're not sure, just kind of let me know. Okay. Okay. So e-commerce is really like if you heard of Shopify, or if you go to the internet and basically browse on Amazon, it's e-commerce because you're able to purchase something, right? As a business individual, if you're creating a business and you're selling a product online, that's e-commerce. If you see TikTok, they're selling products on TikTok nowadays, that's e-commerce. So being able to manage that whole business is basically what we're going to do by learning project management. Okay. So when we think about project management, we need to think, okay, this is to manage the whole project. Okay. And there's like different stages we're going to go through. But before we get into that, there's some classroom etiquette. So obviously we're on a Zoom, but we just have to mention a few things. One of them is just put yourself on mute, okay? Unless you want to say something, obviously put your hand up. You've got your little hand that you can basically use on Zoom. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. Obviously, we're all from different backgrounds, different experiences. I just ask you to respect each other's opinion. And during the session, if you want to make notes, feel free to do so. Just have a piece of paper and or on your phone, however you feel comfortable. Okay. So this is really to kind of just make sure we don't have any issues going forward. And if you do have any questions around Moodle, do ask your success coach. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so some of you from the e-commerce, the certificate in social media and e-commerce, level three. Some of you with diploma in social media and e-commerce, which is a couple of more units additional, and then you've got the skills boot camp in digital marketing. So got three different course types, but this is all kind of common. So common knowledge for all of you, regardless of which pathway you're on. Okay, so the skills boot camp covers this unit as well. And then you've got the vocational, which also covers this unit. So you can see here the different units, and we're on unit one at the moment. Okay. And those of you doing diploma would be on 6 and 7 as well, additional units. Okay, so don't let that confuse you too much. Just know that this unit is relevant to all of you that are on this at the moment, which is obviously the reason why you're here. Um, Booking forms is basically where you can actually book onto these courses, and obviously, um, this session you've booked onto, so you should know how to do it. If you do have any problems, again, reach out to your success coach. Then the session recordings are also available. Okay, so you can actually watch the recording back. If again you don't have any idea of how to do that, reach out to me or your success coach at the end, and then you can get a recording. Session logs are very important as well. Again, it's something that you should be explained, should have been explained to you. But if you're not sure how to do that, then reach out at the end. Okay. So what my expectation from you is to communicate. I mean, please do communicate. If you're on the session and you got some questions or you got some ideas you want to help with, share with everyone else, please do. It makes the session more dynamic. It helps understand how I can help you as well. Commitment is very important, so do attend these sessions because it's to help you. Okay, the knowledge that you're going to gain from this is going to help you in the real world, help you with jobs, help you with your setting your own business, and various things that you can benefit from. Okay, so but that commitment is needed. Okay, so anything that you're basically doing, for example, applying for jobs, do keep us up to date as well. And online learning, I'm guessing we've all kind of done some form of online learning. It requires self-motivation. Okay, so just kind of make sure that you understand the value of this. Okay, it's not just a qualification. It's not just a course. It's actually something very relevant right now. It can help you in so many ways. A lot of people who don't understand digital marketing or not understanding AI or some of the emerging technologies right now, even on social media, like which platforms are doing really well, the benefits of becoming a creator rather than a consumer. You're losing out, you're missing out, and obviously you guys are here, so um, there are some benefits here, but that should motivate you, okay? That you're always progressing, you're always learning something, and it's all relevant stuff. Safeguarding, it's really to make sure that everybody's safe, supported, and protected. If you feel unsafe or worried about anything, do reach out to your success coach. You've got the safeguarding lead as well, Debbie Kay. You can reach out to her. If you do need her number or her email address later on, let me know. Okay, so we're dealing with online stuff. Okay, we're dealing with online spaces and with social media especially. You might have experienced scams. You might have experienced like things that can stress you out. Bullying, cyberbullying. It's not a nice place sometimes. Okay, social media, and we're gonna deal with social media. Okay, it's digital marketing. You're gonna have to deal with social media. So that means like random people on the internet, and sometimes you might experience something that you need to flag up. Okay, so prevent is really about the UK counter-terrorism safeguarding. So if there's anything that concerns you, anything that you find that is not ethical behavior, just make sure that you report it in the right way. If you're not sure how to do things like how to report it, every platform would have a reporting system. Okay, it's usually in the help section. Okay, so you can report it on the platform itself. Okay, but during this course, if you come across anything as well, let me know, or let one of your success coaches know, and they should be able to help you. British values, obviously, it's important for us to apply British values, and they are applicable here as well. Consumer protection laws, data protection laws, advertising standards, copyright laws, all of these do apply, and you'll see how they apply as we go in the course. But it's some of it is quite common sense. Like if you're using someone else's work, that's copyright law. If you're revealing somebody's information, GDPR, we have to protect data, our data, but our customers' data as well. So if you've got clients who are basically using your service, or you're collecting data like email addresses, names through an email list, through email marketing, it needs to be protected. Okay, you can't just share it without consent. And you're taking consent from those individuals when they're giving their email. Okay. But we need to put like terms and conditions in, disclaimers in, and all this with our products and services. And this is what British Values kind of covers as well: democracy, rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect. And we're applying some of this here as well. We're respecting each other's opinions. Everybody's free to kind of have their own opinion. There's some ground rules that we've set for learning, and this is important to understand. So today's session, the first part we're going to cover is around vision, mission, values. So many companies out there have their own vision, mission, and values, and it's not often that we think about it, but it's there. Okay, it's their mission statements there, their vision is there, usually in the slogan or how they kind of portray themselves, the colors they use on their platform, the images they have, the logo. There's so many different ways people, companies actually put their vision out there. So we'll be looking at that and understanding what vision, mission, and values means, what the difference is, and how we can create our own. Okay. And then we're going to basically look at how project management software can help, and also what project management is. We're going to go deep into that in part two and look at the risks and issues when managing digital marketing campaigns. Okay, so part one, we're going to cover now mission, vision, and values. Okay, so three different parts of this. Okay, so every business, no matter how big or small, needs clear sense of direction. It's very important to have that direction, and the best way of having that direction is having a mission statement, a very clear vision, and understanding the values. Okay, so here we can see Google, Walt Disney, IKEA, Netflix. They all are companies we've heard of, right? And they all have a mission statement. Okay, so first one, Google, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Okay, that's their mission statement. And have they done that? I'm sure we can all agree that they've helped us organize the world's information, online information, offline information. It's actually so interesting because Google has become a term now, like in the sense that, just Google it, right? It's actually in the dictionary as like, it's not just the name of a company anymore. Google it. We say Google it. Even if you're not using that search engine, people will say Google it, or I Googled this, right? It's it's something that, and that's a great marketing strategy as well. Being able to have a word that as a name of a company that people can actually use in the sentences and mean exactly what it's meant to do. Again, Walt Disney, to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through power of unparalleled, God, it's a long one, this one, isn't it? Unparalleled storytelling, reflecting iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make our world's premier entertainment company. I think that's a very long mission statement, but if it works for them, it works for them, right? And they've been around for a very long time. It's probably because their mission statement came about a very long time ago and they've just kind of kept that going. IKEA, to offer a wide range of well-designed, functional home furnishings. Sorry, my screen, I need to expand that so I can see it better. Okay, furnishings products at a low price, or prices so low that many people as possible will be able to afford them. I like Netflix one because it's a lot shorter. To entertain the world. Simple. Okay. I personally think mission statements need to be very clear cut and simple. Walt Disney's and IKEA, maybe it works for them because it makes it clear what their mission is, but having it simple is very important. Okay. With Google, organize the world's information. Netflix to entertain the world. And you realize that more and more new companies will have a very simple mission statement. Okay, so mission, when you think about mission, um, the mission of your company is the core purpose of why the business exists in the first place. Okay, so it's very important to have that mission statement. Okay, it's like a compass. It's basically knowing what you actually want to do. Okay, what are you trying to achieve? Okay, so it considers what it does, who it serves, and how it delivers value. So a part of your mission statement would be to understand who you're serving. Okay, how you're going to deliver that information or product, and the mission focuses on the present, describing day-to-day activities that move an organization forward. Okay. So it's like in your mission, like for example, to entertain the world or organize the world's information. That's what they do on a daily basis. Netflix entertains the world on a daily basis, right? Google organizes information on a daily basis, right? Millions of searches daily. So it's their day-to-day purpose, and that's their mission as well. Okay, so a mission statement. Okay, if you want to create your own mission statement, you can see here it says short, clear summary that explains an organization's purpose, goals, and core values. And you can see here it says short, right? So, it's very important to keep it short, very clear, very specific, and it holds that core value. Okay. So it answers questions such as what do we do? How do we do it? And why do we do it? And I think that's the best way to kind of create your own mission statement. What is it that you do? How do you do it? And why do you do it? Okay. If you can answer those three questions, you've got the start of your mission statement. Okay. So when you're setting up a company, when you're thinking of like, okay, I'm going to do something after I'm on this course, I'm going to actually create, some kind of brand on TikTok or Facebook, or I'm going to actually create a product. You, instead of kind of going in that direction, I would start off with your mission statement, making it really clear what is it that you're going to do, why are you doing it in the first place, and how you're going to do it. Maybe how you're going to do it is clear to you because you've seen other people on TikTok selling products and making money, so you want to use that platform because you know it's very popular. But why is it that you do it? Okay. Okay, you want to make money. But what is the other intention? Like, are you trying to help people lose weight? Are you trying to get people to buy your product to actually learn something, a new skill? So you need to understand that. So a mission statement should be direct, authentic, and engaging. Okay, so the next 10 minutes, what I want you to do is write your own mission statement. You might already have one, okay, which is great. You can write that down. It's not going to take you 10 minutes if you already have one. But I'm going to give you 10 minutes just to think about an organization name, okay, and apply it to what it is that you do, how you do it, and also why it matters. Okay, that's a simple formula of creating a mission statement. And an example is basically this one here. You got an example. Let me just bring that up here. So Patagonia exists. So you got the name of the brand. Okay, exists to build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, and use business to inspire and implement solutions to environmental crisis. Okay, so that's a mission statement. So you've got 10 minutes, okay? Just think about, make it applicable to you, okay? Don't just kind of put a mission statement out there that doesn't make any sense or apply to you in your life, okay, or what your journey is. Okay, so you've got this Zoom chat, okay? I don't know if you've ever used the Zoom chat, but if you look at the bottom, you've got some icons, okay? You've got, I mean, mine may look different to yours, but you should have a chat there. So I'm going to say hi in the chat so you can see me. Um, okay. So my name has come up as Think Employment. So it's TE there. I've just said hi. So in that chat, I would like you to put your mission statement after you've created it. Okay? So I'm going to be quiet now so you can actually think, because if I keep on talking, it's going to interrupt you. Okay? So I'm going to be quiet for 10 minutes. Okay? You've got 10 minutes. And once you've created your mission statement, just pop it into the chat. Is that okay, everyone? Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to go silent now. So, right, so vision. Um, Vision is also important, just like your mission statement. Vision describes the long-term goal or aspiration of the organization. So when I say organization, it could be your own individual business. It could be like if you're freelancing or if you have your own kind of business, or it could be you're a part of a big team, an organization, but the vision is what should be common for everybody within that organization. Okay. So, what does a business want to achieve in the future? So, unlike the mission, okay, which is focusing on the present, the vision is in the future. Okay. So, you're thinking about once success is achieved, how does it look? Okay. What have you done? What kind of impact have you made? Okay. So, vision is slightly different. It's not about the present, what you're doing at the moment. It's about what you're trying to achieve, what it's gonna look like once you've done it. Okay, once you've achieved it. So let's look at a couple of vision statements. Okay, so we're looking at I think is that LinkedIn or is that I think that's LinkedIn, isn't it? Or is that Indeed? Confusing me now. That logo.
Yeah, it's LinkedIn.
It's LinkedIn, isn't it? It's the IN just kind of suddenly made me think. Again, it's like you look at LinkedIn, look at the logos all the time, but suddenly you look at it, and it's like, what is this? So again, that kind of shows that it's very important to have a very good logo. I'm not saying LinkedIn's logo is bad, it just kind of confused me suddenly, but it needs to be recognizable logos, right? So create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, and that is their future vision, okay, that future statement. Okay, they probably haven't achieved it right now, but they want to achieve that. Okay, economic opportunity for every member of a global workforce. I think they're doing a really good job because they're connecting a lot of professionals, aren't they, on a social platform. TikTok to inspire creativity and bring joy. Are they doing that? I think they're doing that. Okay, a lot of people spend hours just kind of swiping on TikTok, don't they? Mindless hours. It brings them joy. They're getting entertained. And it also inspires creativity. A lot of people get creative because they've seen other people, trends, people doing silly things, so they start doing silly things. Okay. So it inspires creativity. Meta, Facebook, right? So to bring the metaverse to life and help people connect, find communities, and grow businesses. Meta, which is Facebook, but they're kind of Oculus and all the other gadgets that they have, they are doing it. They are creating the metaverse, but not the way they kind of envisioned at the beginning. Okay. Metaverse isn't easy to create. I mean, you can create it, you can put your Oculus on, you can go to these amazing places, but if if there's not a lot of people there, then it's not really a metaverse, as in if you're not being able to communicate with a lot of people. Until these devices are a lot cheaper, until a lot of people do actually go and explore the metaverse, you're not going to find that sense of community and people to actually connect, right? So if you look at their vision, it says to bring the metaverse to life, which they're working on, and help people connect and find communities. Those communities, they're lacking communities at the moment, but they're going to get there. Okay, it's going to be popular. People are going to spend more time in the metaverse, and they're going to do business in the metaverse, have meetings in the metaverse, um, go to school in the metaverse. All that's going to happen. So that is in the future. Okay, it doesn't matter if they haven't achieved it now. It's their future statement. Facebook. Um, Again, if we read their statement, Facebook is for social discovery that opens your world in big and small ways. Okay, so Facebook's been around for a very long time, right? it's kind of old as well in the sense that people who've used Facebook at the beginning are probably in the 30s, 40s, 50s right now, and they're still using it. Okay. I kind of dismissed it. I spent about 6 years building a Facebook community. Okay. And then about 2 months ago, they suspended my account. I don't know why. They didn't give any reason. I put a requesting. I basically told them like I have no idea why you did this. Can you look into this? And I had no response from them, but suddenly I could get back in again. So it's very um, social media platforms. You just think about it as like just remember it's very centralized. Okay. If you're creating a business and you're so dependent on your social platform, remember somebody else has control. They can just take it away from you, right? So that's why it's important to create an email list. That's why it's important to have your own community on a platform that you control. Okay, have more control over, right? So fortunately, I got my community back, but it was a massive blow for a couple of months. I was just a bit, didn't know what to do with that. But if you look on social media platforms like Facebook, you'll see that yes, they are popular. Yes, they are doing a lot of things, but where are they going with their algorithms? We'll talk about algorithms a bit later, but it's all about monetization. And for Facebook, we, the people, are basically what they're monetizing. Okay, and we'll talk about that soon. But their vision statement is about social discovery, opens up the world in big and small places. I think it's a bit vague, to be honest, what their vision is. But they're around and they're making money, so something's working for them. Okay, so values. Okay, so this is the third one. Okay, so we talked about the mission statement, talked about the vision in the future, values. Now, I've worked for the NHS as a corporate trainer for 5 years. I told you that they have values. Okay. You can go onto the NHS website and you'll see somewhere you'll see the values. Okay. I think trust is one of the values. Okay. And it makes sense, right? The NHS. Okay. If you're going to go to the NHS, you want to be able to trust them to take care of you. Okay. So trust, that kind of thing, integrity, innovation, customer focused, inclusivity. These are values. Every organization would have some values that they really kind of focus on. Okay. So think about your values. Think about your values. You've given me a mission statement of how you're going to do things. Okay. But what are your values? What do you believe in? So I want you to spend 5 minutes now to think about, you can think about your own company values, but what I want you to think about is what other companies are using as their values. What are they setting out as their values? A good one to start off with is the NHS, right? So you can use Google, okay? Um, Go to a couple of companies and find the values of those companies. I'll give you 5 minutes and you use the chat to put the values in. Put the company name. So if it's the NHS, put the NHS and then a little dash and then the values listed. Okay, so 5 minutes. Well done. Quality, Marks and Spencer's, quality, value, service, and innovation. My first jobs with one of my first jobs when I was 16 was with Marks and Spencer's. And they have a certain type of clientele, don't they? Who look for quality, they look for value, but they're not kind of fussed how much they're spending. They want quality. Service is important for them as well. Okay, let's see what else. We've got Yahoo. Yahoo. They're still around. Innovation, work-life balance for employees. User focused. Yep. John Lewis values. Okay. Quality, sustainability, customer experience. Obsessed with style. Playful in attitude. Interesting. And some of the values might actually be focusing on their specific target audience as well. That last one, Harvey Nichols, I don't know anything about them, but it seems like a younger generation, maybe, just by looking at their values. But yeah, I mean, I think you all understand what values means. Okay, so that's good. Let us carry on. Okay, just bear with me again. Okay, so moving on then. Now we've got mission, mission statements, visions, and values. Okay, so mission is where we are today. Vision is where we're going, and values is how we behave along the way. Simple? Makes sense? We all happy? Okay. So let's have a little discussion now. Okay, before we go to the next side. Okay, so let's bring it so I can see you all. All right. So I'm gonna just pick on you now. I'm gonna just pick you randomly because nobody's gonna put their hand up to talk. Okay, so let's see. Holly. Hi, Holly. You all right? Okay, you're unmuted.
Yep,
All
there
right.
is.
So what did you think of that? Vision. Sorry, let's start with the mission statement, vision, values. Do you think it's useful to know?
Yeah, definitely. It
Okay,
it kind of provides the core structure to everything you then go off of.
yeah, definitely. Okay, core structure, very important. Okay, Chloe, how about yourself?
Um, Core structure is in basically the foundation of the company, um, and it's always something for the company to go back to make sure that they're on the path that they set out to be.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I think it's important to understand that whenever you have an idea, when we're talking about projects, okay, projects aren't like set in stone. Okay, some projects may fail, some projects may succeed. Like if you look on my computer, on my hard drive, I've got I think about 15 folders in a folder called projects. Okay. And I've got 15 projects within that folder. All of them got presentations in, all of them got stuff that I've been working on. But out of all of those 15, I think I'm going forward with about two. Okay. It doesn't mean the other projects are bad. It's just I ain't got the time to do 15 projects at the same time. Plus, it's not relevant right now for me. Okay. So you might have ideas in your head, and if you don't actually do anything with those ideas, they're just ideas, right? Anybody can have ideas. Just because you've had an amazing idea, it doesn't mean you own that idea, right? It's just a thought in your head. But if you've actually created presentations around it, if you've created a mission statement, you thought about it, how you're going to create it, now it's becoming something that you actually created, right? Whether you're going to act upon it or not, that's another matter. But when you go through this session and you understand project management, you see the different stages you're going to take your idea through until it becomes something, a business, brings in money, something that you're going to spend time, right? But right at the beginning, we need to look at these things. Because if we don't understand, for example, let me give you an example. If we don't understand what our mission statement is, where we are right now, then we're going to be confused. We'll be going from here to there and everywhere, right? We're going to be wasting a lot of time. We'll be jumping around. If we don't understand where we're trying to get to in the future, again, we wouldn't know if we're already there. Okay? We won't know if how long it's going to take us, what direction we need to go. Again, we might get confused. And our values as well. If we don't know what our values are, we may do something, take an action that is against our values, right? You might do something that you regret. Like, okay, I create this video on TikTok and actually it doesn't really go with what I stand for, right? So it's very clear, very precise, and then you go forward. Okay, so we've achieved that now. So for whatever you're doing, I don't know what you're doing, whether it's your own business, whether you're working for a company, you're trying to help them out, whatever intention you have with this course, um, remember that this is the foundation of starting up. Okay, having those basically set in stone. I've had projects that I worked on through experience. I've had to go back to the mission statement, had to go back to the values and change a few things because we evolved, we changed, right? So it's not set in stone either. It's a foundation, but it's not like you have to stick to it. It could be that you suddenly realize that I want to be more innovative. I want to go more into tech. So one of your, values becomes innovation, and it wasn't there before. Okay, so you can change things, right? But ideally, you don't want to be changing when you've got lots of customers and people already know what you stand for. Okay, so at the beginning, it's a bit flexible. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so thank you for those who contributed. Let me just go back to the slide. Okay. Right. So, okay, so these all three work together. So now we're on part 2, and we're going to go into understanding what a project is. Okay. So, who understands what a project is? Who can tell me what a project is? I mean, I know it says it on the screen, but in your own words, can anybody explain? Any volunteers?
I
You
can.
Okay.
So I've worked in projects for about 4 years in the NHS.
Brilliant. So you
So
should
it's
tell me.
kind of like not sort of part of the operational sort of business day to day. It's like a sort of temporary piece of work you're doing, which might be improving that operational kind of day to day. I'm explaining this a bit wonkily, but yeah, it's usually. Sorry, I've gone completely off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, that's fine. You can take a pause and you can come back to it if you want. But what you said is fine because it is temporary.
Yeah,
Okay. And it says that on the slide as well. A project is a temporary effort, okay, to create a unique product or service as a result. It has a specific goal, scope, and timeline, but it may not give fruits. It may not be something that you actually spend money on, right? At the beginning, it's just an idea that you're basically organizing. All right. That's good. Anyone else like have experience or projects that you worked on? I'm sure you have. Like even at school, at some point in your life, you've had a project. Even if you like decorating your house, refurbishing your house, moving to another house, that's a project.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I've worked in sales and marketing and I've been involved in various projects like product launches, repackaging, yeah, they're all you can all summarize them as a project.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so we've all kind of had some kind of experience. Okay, so a project is a combination of tasks, okay, activities and deliverables that must be structured and executed carefully to achieve a desired outcome. Okay, so there's different parts of a project. Let me simplify it, really like a simple kind of example. You've all had tea or coffee, right? Okay, so when you go to make a cup of coffee or tea, I prefer coffee. So some of you might prefer tea. So whatever you're going to go and make, right? What would you do first? It's not a trick question. Go on. Claudia, you go for it. What would you do first?
I would choose the type of tea. I would prepare the kettle.
Okay. Okay, so you choose the type of tea, and then I guess choosing the type of tea might not take you that long, so it's not bad.
I have many types of tea.
Oh, okay, then it might take you a bit of
I
time.
need to choose. Yeah, this is for
Okay.
me.
How long does it take you to choose?
Seconds. Few
Seconds. Okay. We can get away with that. What I was getting at, I was hoping you would say, is I'll put the kettle on first, right? Because that's going to take a long time, isn't it? The water to get to that boiling point. But if you're like getting the cup, you're washing the cup, and then you're choosing your tea, the type of tea, then you're getting the sugar, then you're like, doing other things. In a way, you're wasting time where you could have had the water boiling at the same time, right? So one of the first things you want to do is you want to put the water in the kettle, let that start, like doing its thing, and then you can do the other things. So that's going to take the longest time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but actually I'm a person who saves water and the energy, and
Okay.
I put the kettle the last because I put only a little bit of water. So
Okay.
this is
Okay. So my example doesn't
my
work with
real
you then.
flow. Yeah.
Okay. But you get what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
I get what you yeah.
You get what I mean. So with the project, again, it's time bound sometimes, isn't it? It's like you're trying to achieve something in a specific time. So it's important to know the different elements of that project. Which one comes first, which one next, yeah? Because in a project, you might have to wait for people. You might have some things that you can't change, like a specific time when a certain individual is available for a meeting, for example, or when they're going to come into the project. So it's a timeline, okay? And different types of projects work in different ways, okay? So we're going to look at the different types, okay? But before we do, we need to understand what project management is. So project management then, okay? So project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. It's a practice of planning, organizing, and executing the tasks needed to turn a brilliant idea into something that's tangible, a tangible product, a service, or a deliverable. So, that idea I was talking about, it's all good up here, but if it's not something tangible, like a physical product or even a digital product, could be an ebook that you're thinking of writing. If you haven't got it, if you haven't actually created that ebook, personalized it, made it your own, branded it, there's nothing there for you to actually deliver, right? So it's about that process, and that process of if you're going to write an ebook, for example, you need to know the subject. Do you have the expertise? How do you become an expert in a field, right? And one way of becoming an expert is expert by association. If you're not an expert in a subject, you could interview somebody who's an expert. Okay? That's a really good way of doing it, where then you're an expert by association. So these things I will teach you, and I will talk about it when I have the opportunity to in the right topic. But it's about thinking, it's the thinking process and what goes when. So this is the project cycle we're talking about. Okay. So that cycle we need to go through. Okay. So we can see this cycle, this image, closure, initiation. Which one comes first? Initiation. Okay. We're starting from initiation, then it goes to planning, then execution, then monitoring and control, and then closure. These are the five phases. Okay. So the project life cycle is structured sequence of phases a project goes through from its beginning to completion. Okay, it provides a framework. Okay, it's a structure. And I think somebody mentioned structure, okay, before. Okay, it's that structure. So the first phase of your project, you got your mission statement, you know what you're going to do in the future, your vision, you know your values. Now you're going to start the project, okay? So right at the beginning, before you do anything else, okay, this idea that you have, like that's coming to your head, right? That's where it begins from, that idea, okay? It all starts from that idea. And the main thing that you got to think about at this point is it realistic? Okay? Why should I be doing this? Is it realistic? Because if it isn't realistic, then you can stop it right there and not waste time. Okay. But if it is something that you think is realistic, then you go forward. So people involved in the project should look at the potential benefits, the costs, the risks, okay, and decide whether it's worth going ahead. Because if it's risky, okay, then maybe you should back off. Like, okay, it's going to be very risky, life-threatening or something, or it could be it's too expensive. I don't have the funds, and I can't even get the funds. Some projects you can get the funds, you can get investors, right? But if you don't have any idea of how to even do that, then it might throw you a little bit. Okay, so right at the beginning, you've got to think about make it practical. So it's about setting a clear direction before committing any resources, because what you don't want to do is spend a lot of money and then realize that you just spent all your money on something that you're not going to do. Okay, so initiation is about the purpose, the scope of the project, and now you can see why your mission statement and your vision and your values are important, because that's what's going to help you decide. Okay, it's going to help you define that purpose. It's going to help you understand the scope of the project, to identify stakeholders and their needs, who's invested in you, who's backing your idea. Okay. So if you tell me about your idea and you say, "Hey, Bilal, I got this amazing idea, and I'm backing you," right? I could be backing you with one of my services. Could be that I'm helping you with my expertise. You're going to interview me for your ebook. Okay. It could be that I'm backing you with financials. Okay. I'm giving you money to do it. But if you don't have the right sources, resources, people, products, money, these things, then you're going to have to find it, right? So it's about understanding those commitments. Okay. Assess the feasibility, right? Understand creating a business case and seeking approval. So you will put a business case together. Okay. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I'm going to need. This is what I'm going to basically deliver. These are my values. This is the mission statement. This is the vision. This is the company brand, the logo and everything. And now you can present that to potential investors, people that you want to, it may not be an investor. It could be a group of friends. It could be some people you know that you want to kind of express your idea to. If you just tell them your idea that you had, they'll say, "Yeah, that's an amazing idea," and they'll probably forget about it afterwards, right? But if you present it, invite people to watch your presentation, and you display it in a very clear, concise way, where the presentation starts off with your mission statement, the vision, the values, and then what you're gonna need, what you're gonna achieve in the future, how it's gonna change people's lives, how you're gonna make money, what's the prediction, what's the statistics like of the market, how many billions of dollars are being made every year, and you just want a small fraction of that to make 1 million. And you put all that together, and then you're asking for something. Okay. What I'm proposing is, a partnership, or what I'm proposing is that you invest. Okay. You're more likely to get that investment if you know what you're basically trying to achieve, right? And that is how you get the investors on board. Okay, that is how you get your friends involved. Okay, interest. You sell your idea, your pitch. Okay, so that initiation is very important. And this is where it's either going to happen or not happen. Either you drop it or you move forward. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, so that's initiation. Secondly, project application. Okay, still kind of initiation. Okay, so at this point, it's about deciding whether the campaign is worthwhile, and they're setting those clear goals, okay, before investing any time. So it's very similar. The first stage, initiation in a social media e-commerce, because we're talking about social media and e-commerce, so we're going to have to tap into that. Okay, so it's about identifying why the campaign should exist in the first place, because up till now we've been talking about project management in general, right? But if we're looking at social media and e-commerce, which is the topic of this course, I'm going to focus on one specific thing as an example, right? I'm a TikToker, or I want to be a TikToker because I think, TikTok is the best platform and I'm going to make money on that. Now, e-commerce on TikTok, well, TikTok shop, right? You can plug in Amazon in there. You can basically promote products that are already on Amazon shop, and you can earn a good commission, right? So they've integrated e-commerce in there already. So you don't have to kind of create a website, put PayPal, Stripe. You don't have to do all that. Okay, you don't have to get a Shopify site. You create content on TikTok, you get your followers, you basically apply to become a marketer, and you're basically making money by selling other people's products. Okay, you're not even having to store the products in your house. You're basically whoever's created the product is sending it directly. So it's a really good structure, and that's why it works for a lot of people. So I'm going to focus on that as an example. Okay. So the campaign, okay, and I've seen it happen, and you've probably seen it happen. I've seen TikTokers, they basically create fun, entertaining content. They're not selling anything at the beginning, right? So I'm thinking of a couple right now who I've seen who just basically shared about their culture. They shared about the difference between husband and wife's culture. One individual was from a different culture to the other, and they're just kind of having a laugh about their culture. Okay, and it's funny. They're likable people. They're basically opening up a window into their lives, and they're getting those followers by doing that. And the beginning, you really don't know what they're going to sell, or you really don't know what the intention is. But they know, okay? They have a plan. And that plan is their campaign. So e-commerce campaign, it basically would look a bit different, okay, nowadays, to previous campaigns. But you would have to have a plan of how you're going to go forward. So you would have to create content of some form, but that content needs to be put out on certain platforms. So if they've created on TikTok, they may put it on YouTube as shorts. Okay, they may take it on Facebook as well. So there has to be a proper structure of how you're going to do all this. Okay, when are you going to create the content? When are you going to post? What's the best time to post? When are the target audience are going to actually watch it? Who is your target audience? All of this is part of that campaign. Okay, so for example, a clothing retailer might want to increase the sales of a new product. Okay, so they want to target a younger audience because younger people would use Instagram and TikTok. That's where they're going to focus. During the initiation, the business would ask questions such as, what do we want to achieve? Is it more sales, more followers, or stronger brand awareness? And which platform makes the most sense for this audience? So they've already decided that is they're going to target a younger audience for their new product, okay? And they're going to go for Instagram and TikTok. So it's kind of common knowledge now, but if it wasn't, they would have to do research to understand what's the best platform, okay? And this is right at the beginning, okay? When you're basically structuring that campaign. So now you go into the planning stage. This is the next phase of your project management. Okay. The planning phase is where you're actually now going ahead with it. Okay. Now you're going to go ahead with it. So it moves into the planning stage where basically you've got a roadmap. Okay. And this roadmap is about preparation. It's about deciding how are you going to do it, creating the timeline, the budgets, how much you're going to time you're going to it might be money, but it also could be time. If you got money, then you can basically buy time. You can employ people. But if you haven't got money, you need to spend time, right? So it's time or money. So this is your time to basically decide whether you're going to put a lot of time in or are you going to employ people. You develop the details of the project plan, establish a success criteria. What are the milestones that you're going to measure success on? For example, I create a TikTok. My plan is that I'm going to get 10 likes, my first TikTok. Okay, that is my milestone. Once I get 10 likes, I'll create another one. Okay, so you have your milestones, and then you got your responsibilities. Okay, so with a project, you could have a number of people working on that project with you. So if it was all of us working together on a project, we would have to assign different roles. If we don't, we're all going to work on the same thing. We might, you know, it's like if you're cooking a meal, right? And it's like too many chefs, you're all going to put salt in and it's going to get too salty, right? You need to all have your own roles and responsibilities and know what you're going to do to make this happen. And creating that communication method, how you're going to communicate with each other, what are the risks, identifying the risks, and the quality management. So all of that is the planning side. Okay. So it's about understanding whether, how much you're going to spend, how you're going to spend it, who's going to do what, all of that needs to be planned. Because now you've already decided you're going to go ahead with it, you're basically planning. Another part of the planning side is basically where all these details come together. For social media, for example, you could have a content calendar. Okay, so you have Monday to Friday. It could be a 7-day content calendar where in that calendar you're putting in what you're actually going to produce. Okay, when are you going to post? When exactly you're going to post? It could be 4 o'clock is a right time, or 7 o'clock in the evening is the right time for UK target audience, because that's when most likely people are going to be viewing after work, right? So you would put those slots in throughout the calendar, but because we have now automation like AI, and we have also platforms like HubSpot and all these other amazing platforms that actually can post your content automatically, these platforms already have the calendar integrated. So you would put in your content and it would post. Okay. So all of this is part of the planning, the whole campaign, deciding on the content types, the type of content you're going to produce, the reels, the carousels, the paid ads, the stories, getting other influencers on board when their post is gonna be out there, whether it's gonna be user-generated content, AI content, how much budget you're gonna spend. All of this is in the planning. Okay, assigning the responsibilities. And it sounds like a lot because it is a lot, because you have to understand the whole, like you're almost kind of planning out your whole week, a whole month in advance, but then you're going to work according to that. It's going to give you responsibilities. It's going to give your team a responsibility to make sure everything's, because consistency is very important. You might have a great idea of creating content and putting it out there and selling something, but then you don't create any content, or you create content but not at the right time, or you create content but you're not consistent, so you're not getting that momentum. Okay, but this planning that you do here will enable you to be consistent. And finally, well, is it finally? I'm not sure yet, but execution is one of the final points, okay, of the project management cycle. Okay, after planning, the project moves to execution. This is where the actual work begins. Okay, so this is where you're basically carrying out the project, creating the actual content and putting it out there. Okay, this is usually the stage where most of the time, effort, and resources is used, because you're actually creating something. Okay, so carry out the project work as planned, coordinate people, resources, and processes, communicate progress to stakeholders, ensure deliverables are produced, required quality standards. Okay, so if we think about the TikTok idea, and we're created a video, okay, so we're posting at the right time. If we've got a team of people creating content, then we're coordinating with them when they're posting and when I'm posting, and basically relating to each other. We're looking at the resources we have to use those resources, okay? And we're also communicating our progress to the stakeholders. Like if people are invested in your project, they need to know. They need to know what you've been doing, and we have to communicate that, okay? So that they're happy. Okay, it could be sponsors, it could be whoever's product you're selling in the first place. They need to know what your plans are. Okay, so keeping them informed, in loop. Ensure deliverables are produced to require quality standards. So, for example, again, I'm going to use TikTok. If you're creating content on TikTok and you want it to be of a certain quality, you can't suddenly go to a different quality and then come back. You have to be, again, consistent in your quality. Okay, because certain people you're basically creating an expectation of your audience. So your audience have an expectation, but once you created that expectation, if you go back on that, then you're going to lose that audience. So if you're posting every day at 4 o'clock, that consistency is going to bring in certain people who are available to watch your content at that time. But then if you don't create any content at 4 o'clock after a couple of weeks, then you've lost that again. You created an expectation, but then you went back on yourself. Okay. So with expectation as well, be realistic. Okay. If it's realistic for you to post 3 posts every day, then do that. If it's not realistic, then post 1 post a day, 1 piece of content a day. right? But that consistency is very important. So this is execution is where a lot of the time will go. Project application, still a part of the execution. This is where, you're basically creating the content, publishing it, like I've said, but also you're going live, maybe. A lot of TikTokers, again, the reason I'm focusing on TikTok, because if you ask me, like, what is the best platform to use for e-commerce right now, I would say TikTok, okay? Because it's such a big opportunity for everyone. Now, it's a fact, I can't go against the fact. If you're using any platform right now, if you're not taking advantage of TikTok and its shops and its e-commerce functionality, then you're missing out. Okay. Obviously, you can use other platforms, but TikTok is very important. So I'm going to continue to use that as an example. And here, what you're gonna see is like if you watch content on TikTok, you'll see that some people go live, and then if you go to their content, like on their uh, actual profile, you see they haven't got many videos, or they got about 5 or 6 videos, but they're going live a lot. So why do they go live? Does anybody know why a lot of TikTokers go live? What's the benefit of going live on TikTok? Anyone know?
Seems to
Or
get more viewers. And
yeah,
I've noticed that with Instagram lately as well, that people are posting less, but they're doing stories more.
yeah. Okay, get more views. Yes, that could be a factor, but I personally think it's to build relationships. Okay. I think going live, it gives that authenticity. Okay, because anybody can create content, and some content is not always the person on the camera, right? But if you're trying to build relationship with your audience, live videos is the best way because that interaction is there, okay, between you and your customers or your audience, okay? Because right now, like for example, when we're doing this, we're going through this course, this is live interaction. Like if I ask you a question, you can respond, right? So we have this interaction two-way. But if it's a content on TikTok that's posted, it's not two-way unless somebody comments, and then there's so many comments, and there's no human connection other than the comment, right? And then even that's limited, right? But in a live video, it's like those comments are relevant at that time. So if I say something, somebody's going to post something, it's relevant at that specific time. It's a different dynamic. Okay. So live content has its value, and that builds that solid customer base or that solid audience that will back them up all the time. It's that community. And from that, they can basically trial and error as well. Like a lot of stuff that you say on live may not be stuff that you want to put as evergreen content. Okay. It might be relevant just at that point in time. So live videos are great. Okay. And that is still a part of that execution because you're creating content. So for an e-commerce project, execution might include showcasing a product in the short videos. Okay. So you may have the product, like being smart about it. You could do a live video, but have the product in the background somewhere and not even talk about it. Okay. But subconsciously, people are picking up the brand. Okay. So it could be your product and you have got it in the background, probably on a shelf or on a table or something. Say you're selling cosmetics, right? And it's there in the background. You're really not talking about it. You're helping people. Okay. You're helping people, giving people value, but it's in the background. But eventually you tell them that, I use this. So somebody asks about it and you talk about it. So it doesn't feels like you're selling something because people don't like being sold to. But if you're helping people and then on the back of that you're providing a solution to a problem, it will be accepted in a better way. Okay, so how are you going to basically bring your product into the scene? It could be a brand that you're promoting. You could wear the t-shirt with the logo. This is your execution. Okay, execution is not by just kind of putting a product in somebody's face and say, buy this, please buy this. You can't do it like that. It's not going to work. You have to be creative of how you're going to sell it. Okay, why they're going to buy you. If people like you, know you, trust you, then most likely they're going to buy for you. Okay, so you have to get them to like you, know you, and trust you. Those three things. Once they build that connection with you, they'll buy from you because they can buy the same, probably they can buy the same product from someone else. Why should they buy from you? And this is the execution part. So at this stage, the planning becomes visible to the customers. Okay. So everything that you've planned now is now the customers. If they're smart, if they've got some digital marketing background, they might actually clock on to how you're actually selling this. They go, oh, pretty smart. And I know what you're doing here, you know. But it's where the most energy is spent, okay, to bring that campaign to life. You planned it, you know how you're going to do it, now you're doing it, and this is where your energy is going. Okay, so monitoring and controlling. Monitoring and controlling, it runs alongside the execution stage, okay? So you're basically making sure everything is going well, you're tracking your progress, looking at how many likes you're getting, how many people are rewatching your content, how many people are buying, how much you're spending on ads. You're putting people in there into your chat so they can monitor as well. And so your audience is helping you monitor so that if anybody says anything bad, they're just kind of taking them out. If there's any problems, you're solving those problems. You're tracking progress, managing the risks. Like if there's risk is like from that audience, there could be risk, right? Also, this is where you're basically looking at, am I meeting the stakeholders' expectations? Like, am I making the sales? Am I promoting, what I want to do? You can go back to your values as well, and you can go back to your mission statement and check. So this monitoring and controlling, just to know that you're on the right path. Okay, so when the project enters the monitoring and controlling, this is where you're keeping a close eye on performance. Okay, because certain content may not give you the yield that you want it to give you. Like you spend an hour on a live video and you only get 20 people. Why? Okay, why are you not getting more? Why isn't the algorithm rewarding you? Okay, so you need to understand that. Okay, maybe I'm not talking about the right thing. Okay, so you look at your posts, like which post got the most likes, which one got the most attention. That's what you got to keep on doing. It's not about what you like to do, it's about what your audience likes to watch. That's important to understand. Okay, sometimes we think, oh, I don't want to do this. I like to do this. I like to, crack jokes. But if your jokes ain't good and your audience doesn't want to listen to your jokes, what's the point? Okay, you need to give what they want. Okay, and that's important, and this is where you need to monitor, control, and understand. Okay, so when the project enters the monitoring and controlling, this is where you keep close eye on your performance. You track the metrics, the click-through rates, the engagement, the conversion, the sale generated from the social media, how much money you're making. If one type of post is performing better than the others, adjustments can be made to focus more on the format. Okay, you go with the best. Similarly, if ad spend is not delivering results, it could be redirected to a better performing channel. Okay, so you have to do testing. You have two ads out there, which one is performing well, or maybe another company's ad, you're basically copying that, doing a bit of tweaks and making sure that yours is getting the right number of views. It's all about monitoring and controlling. So it's a very important part of the project cycle, and it's not easy. Okay, because it's some people may think it's boring, but it's very important. Okay, because you could be spending time creating content that is not doing anything for your business, is not bringing any money in. Okay, and there's no point. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people just create content mindlessly, but they don't have a plan. They're not monitoring. They're not controlling. Finally, is closure. Okay, that's the last part of the project cycle. Okay, so finally, once all the work is complete, the project enters a closing stage. Okay, this is where it's formally wrapped up. Final deliverables are handed over, client to the client or stakeholders, and the team reviews the project. Now, usually in a because we're talking about e-commerce and social media, you don't usually wrap up, okay? You continue. You keep on doing the same thing again and again because it's working. Or it could be another stage you take it to. Now you're basically telling them, look, I've created a product. This is my brand. This is my product, and this is why you should buy it, right? Now you're going to hard sell because you've gained your audience. You've built that reputation. So it's at that stage. It's not really closure. It's in a way you can say it's closure to understand that you succeeded or it worked. Now I'm going to repeat it. Okay. You've acted upon lessons. You've basically documented everything. And now when you do a pitch to get more investors, you can show them the number of likes you're getting, the number of people in your community, the amount of products you've sold, and so on. Okay. So it's the important part of that project cycle. So for social media and e-commerce projects, closure might involve producing a report that shows the return on investment, analyzing which platforms or content types were most effective, and identifying lessons for future campaigns. Okay, so that campaign is successful. You're going to do a future campaign. It could be for a different product. If you're an influencer, it might be a different product you're now promoting, but you take the lessons learned from this one and you apply to that one. So you might also repurpose successful posts for long-term use, archive campaign assets, basically have loads of videos that you can use again and again, okay? Or, images, videos, it could be animations, certain things that you've said, certain dialogues, certain sentences that you've used, hashtags that you've used. You basically have a whole kind of resource that you've collected, okay? So closure is about tidying up, reviewing outcomes, and making sure that the insights are gained and they basically can inform and optimize the next project. Okay, so like I said, it's not about just wrapping up and just saying it's done, like some traditional projects that you might work for a company and finish the project and move to another project. Because it's your brand, it's more about how do I take the lessons learned and move to the next project and do it better. Okay. So, your project. Okay, so during your program of learning, you'll be required to create, manage, and complete a project for digital marketing campaign. Okay, so seasonal product launch, flash sale, limited offer, brand awareness, blog promotion, a day in the life of. So these are some examples that you can basically focus on. It is important for you to start thinking about the type of business you have. Okay, so if you don't have a business, you can start thinking about one. If you do have a business, this is what you need to start thinking about: the project management, the cycle, okay, and what you're actually offering. Okay, so it's important to understand that. Okay, so key concepts of project planning is managing the project social media for e-commerce, and it requires a lot, okay, but it involves very important things in that structure: cost and budgets, time scale, milestone and deadlines, and reviewing and monitoring. These are very important, okay? So obviously we need to know how much it's going to cost us, the budget, how long it's going to take us, the milestones and the deadline, and then reviewing at the end. Okay, so these are the key concepts. We've got the cycle, but then it's about using these specific concepts as well. So we're going to go through each one of these, okay, concepts in a second, but I want to give you a little break. Okay, so say let's have a 10-minute break, okay? Because it's been quite full on, hasn't it? So 10-minute break, get yourself a coffee or use the loo, whatever you want to do, but 10 minutes, okay? So it's at 11 o'clock. So if I go back one, so key concepts of project planning. Okay, so the phase that we talked about, the planning phase, okay, which was, if we go a few slides back, let me go all the way back so we can see that image here. So we saw initiation and then the planning, and that after the initiation, that planning phase was quite intense, where you got to really kind of understand what you're going to do. You're going to plan everything, okay? This phase has basically these concepts. Okay, so we're going to talk about those concepts to make it easy for you to plan. Okay, so the planning phase involves cost and budgeting, timescales, milestone deadlines, and review and monitoring. Okay, so the first one is cost and budgets. So cost and budgets refer to the financial resources needed to complete the project. In digital marketing campaigns, costs can include advertising spend, content creation, tools and software and people. Okay, so if you're starting off, you may not want to do too many ads. You might want to create content. Organic content is good. For 6 years on Facebook, I created a lot of live videos. I gathered a good following from the live videos. I didn't spend any money on advertising, but still I managed to get about, I think I got about 6 to 7,000 in a community. So it can easily be done, but the algorithms always change. Okay, so Facebook used to be great for live videos when they first started off live videos in 2016. However, as time went on, their business model is they're going to make money through ads. Okay, so if you don't do Facebook ads, your content may not get to as many people anymore. Okay, the algorithms change. So advertising is important, regardless of algorithms. Okay, but if you don't have the money, then you're going to have to create content and hope that people see your organic content. Tools and software like CapCut, for example, you might need to get something premium. If you're creating, content, you might need a shop where you're going to sell a product. If you're selling courses, for example, you might want to use Stan or Podia or Teachable. So these are softwares that you might want to use for your business. You might have project management software. You might have other tools that you need for editing, for example. All of that is going to have to go into your costs, and you've got a budget. Okay, so how much you're going to spend, which applications you're going to use. A clear budget plan ensures you allocate funds efficiently and avoid overspending. Because if you're spending too much, like something that you can pay monthly, and then you have like maybe $19 per month, $36 per month, and so on in different packages, you need to look at which one is relevant, which one you can use, but also not overspending. Like if you're spending, I don't know, £300 to pay for the whole year, you could have got away with paying 19 per month. Okay, it might cost you a few pounds more by the end of the year, but at least you got more capital to spend on other things. Okay, so you need to have a clear plan on how you're spending your money. So it helps compare actual costs versus planned costs, which basically allows you to adjust if the campaign is running over budget. So this is important. Then timescales. Okay, so timescale is the overall duration, okay, of a project. How long will it take from start to finish? So your phases might be different depending on who is involved in the campaign or project. Okay, so if you have a number of people who are creating content for you, if you have a team, your timescale will also depend on their availability. Okay, so you need to work out a timescale, and that needs to be like from start to finish. When are you going to deliver? For example, if you're creating content for Christmas, then obviously it's very time specific, isn't it? Okay, there's no point creating content for Christmas, and by the time you've created the content and put it on your platform is February. There's no point. Okay, so timescale is important. How tasks depend on one another, such as you cannot post your content until the visual content has been approved. Could be you need approval. Okay, if there's other people within your project that needs to basically approve your content, that could be the case. Whether you're on track to meet the campaign launch or completion dates. A digital marketing campaign timeline might include planning, content creation, testing, implementation, optimization, and reporting. Okay, so the whole campaign will have its own timeline, and from start to finish, you'll see parts where you're planning. It's basically the project cycle. okay, in a timeline. And when you're going to test, when you're going to implement, when you're going to optimize, and when you're going to report. Okay, the whole thing. So the project cycle becomes like a timeline. Milestones. So within the timeline, you're going to have milestones, and obviously you can have deadlines as well. So the deadline is not going to be right at the end. It's also going to be in between, where you have different phases of your project cycle. They will have their own deadlines. So deadlines are the milestones that keep the project moving forward. So you're always hitting those milestones or deadlines. Okay, setting realistic deadlines ensures the tasks are completed in sequence and the campaigns are launched at the most impactful time. Okay, so if you're not organized, you're going to create the content at the wrong time, and you're not going to have the content when you need it, or you're not going to be able to make the most of a specific time period where your product could have blown up, okay, because of what it is. So milestones are checkpoints, key checkpoints in your project to ensure that you're making progress. Deadlines are specific dates when the task or deliverable must be finished. Together, milestones and deadlines help measure progress and ensure the campaign stays on schedule. And finally, review and monitoring. So review and monitoring involves checking how the project went well, if it went well, how it performed, comparing the goals, how things can be done differently to improve. Regular monitoring allows you to identify what works and what doesn't. Okay, so it's important to do that. So on conclusion of the campaign, a thorough review helps capture lessons learned so that you can make your future projects more efficient and effective. Okay, so it's all about the click-through rates, the conversions, the traffic, etc. Like that's what you're going to monitor. That's what you're going to review. Okay, how many likes you got, which content did well, which products sold best. You know, these things, and these are because if a product isn't selling, there's no point pushing that product. Okay, you might have to change the product. If a content is not getting the views, there's no point creating more content like that. Okay, so it's important to understand what works, what doesn't. Also, we may head towards some problems. Okay, so managing social media for e-commerce projects is complex because it involves balancing internal challenges such as limited resources, time, data management with external factors. So the external factors, we've got our own issues, okay, like for example financial challenges. We got time. If we have the time to work on our project, you might be in a 9 to 5 job because you need to pay your rent, you need to pay your bills, but you have a side project which you do in the evenings, right? But then you might have kids and family commitments, so your time is limited, so you need to be realistic about time. Again, your finance could be limited. Okay, the amount of data you're creating, the content you're creating, it needs to be organized. You need to know where everything fits in. Okay, so these are all internal factors, but the external factors are things like platform algorithms, which you don't have control of, competition, which you don't have control of. Okay, there will be competition is not a bad thing. It just validates the market. If there's other people doing the same thing as you, it's not a bad thing. Obviously, if it's oversaturated as a market, then it's going to be harder for you. But there's ways around that. You could go in a specific niche, in a direction that makes your content unique or your business unique, right? But having competition in itself is not a bad thing. Okay. So economic conditions, obviously, our economy right now isn't as good as it used to be. We can think negatively in many ways. The budget just came out, or COVID, or whatever you can think of that is negative. It can hold you back, right? How I see it personally is, even though the economy may be rubbish, right? It does not mean your business idea is rubbish. You just have to improvise. You have to think differently. There's always problems out there that you can solve. Okay, actually, when the economy is not great, it gives opportunity because the people have more problems, which means you can provide more solutions, right? It's about identifying these problems and providing solutions. So even though the economic condition may not be great, people may be talking negatively, every circumstance, every economic condition has opportunity still. Okay, you just need to find what is the opportunity. So regulations, again, something we don't have control over. Regulations, it could be that where you're actually selling the product, how you're selling the product, where your target audience lives. There could be regulation, certain things that is not allowed. If your product has CBD, for example, in your coffee, you're trying to create a coffee with CBD, but in certain countries, it might not be easy to get that passed through. Could be other things like, social trends that you don't have control over. You basically creating content with one trend and suddenly that trend is over and another trend is here. You don't have control over it. You have to improvise. You got to go with the trends. So these are issues, not all negative, but things that we have to think about. Project management helps to anticipate these issues, create contingency plans, and keeps the campaign aligned with business goals despite internal and external pressures. So if you're thinking about these issues, you know it could happen. The economy is great, but it might not be great next year. Platform algorithms on TikTok are amazing, but it might not be tomorrow. You basically preparing for the worst. Okay, there is no competition. I've got a monopoly of this, but tomorrow I may have competition. So how am I going to deal with it? The trends are here today. Social trends are here today. It might not be here tomorrow. How am I going to deal with it? Okay, so it helps you plan. So internal issues, limited resources, content overload and quality, customer service demands, time management and deadlines. These are all things that we can control. Okay, we can control in some form or another. We can improvise. If we've got limited resources, we can basically work with that limited resources. Content overload, there's loads of people creating content around AI right now. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to do something different that they're not doing. Okay, I'm going to focus on one specific thing. Customer service demands. Well, if you're that busy that you've got customer service demands, it's a good thing. But you can employ people, you can work extra hours, or even get an AI agent to do your customer service, right? There are solutions out there with technology. Time management and deadlines, set your alarm, make sure you work towards the deadlines so that you're meeting those deadlines. It's things we can control. External, basically, like I said, we can't. So these are the things that we just talked about, that these are always changing, or we need to prepare for. The last one, technological advances, it is an external issue that we don't have control over. But in this day and age, for you guys to be on this course, my advice is basically see it as a positive, not a negative. There's some people who will always say, "Oh, well, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that." They'll complain about everything, right? Rather than seeing it as an obstacle, see it as a challenge. Technology always improves. It always changes, but you need to learn. You need to progress. You need to take advantage of it. Okay, so we're talking about AI. Okay, you can be negative towards AI, like, we don't know what's real anymore, right? I understand what you're saying, but the people who are going to make money in AI or using AI is the people who automate. Okay, that project cycle we're talking about, there's a lot of things that we can automate. Posting content, we can automate. AI is very valuable for social media, for digital marketing. Okay, but even I'm still getting my head around it. Okay, it goes far beyond ChatGPT. There's loads of tools out there, but it's expensive. But we need to understand how we use technology. Okay, but even we don't even have to think about AI. We can think about just this Zoom call in itself, being able to communicate with your team, plan the meetings, plan the deadlines through communication with Zoom. That is you taking advantage of technology rather than texting somebody, getting your meetings through a Zoom call, using the AI companion on Zoom so that it does all your minutes for you. Okay, this is you taking advantage of technology. Okay, social media, when you talk about TikTok, again, so a participant has asked you to start AI companion. Okay, I'll start that. Somebody's asked for that. Kind of interfered, but it's all right. I'll allow it. Okay, so it started the AI companion now. So I think from now going forward, it's going to basically give a script. I don't know where that's going to go to, because it might come to my this account. But if it does, I'll share it with you. But it's a tool. It's a tool that you can use. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Zoom has an AI companion which you can turn on, and it's like having somebody there to take minutes of the whole meeting. It basically puts everything down on a script, like what I've been talking about. Because it's kind of one way that I'm doing most of the talking, it will just give you a whole transcript of what I'm talking about. Okay? Right, but if you did, ask a question, it will include that as well. So it is very useful in that sense. So let's carry on. So there's certain risks as well, and managing those risks is important. So risk can take many forms, such some can be internal, such as from poor planning, if we didn't plan properly, unclear responsibilities, people don't know what they're doing, okay, overspending on advertising without a clear return. Others could be external, okay, so negative customer feedback. Can you help it? Well, actually, negative customer feedback can be useful. You can use it as a positive, like, okay, I've got some feedback, constructive feedback. Maybe it's negative, but I can improve, if I take advantage of that. Okay. But if it goes viral, your negativity, then that's a problem. Okay. Policies, platform policies that change, economic pressure, reducing consumer spending, that can happen. Data protection and legal compliance, okay, they play a critical role, and you need to be aware of that. So there's certain things, like, for example, if your company or your business is leaking information, it gets into the wrong hands, you didn't use a secure password, and all your information is out there now, it's a bad thing, isn't it? So you have to be aware of the risks that could cause some big issues for you as a business. You know, GDPR is important, but other things as well, like customer complaints can go to a point where if it's viral, it can impact your reputation. It can basically affect your brand. You might need to start all over again. Okay, so risk management is important for any business. So there's a risk management cycle. So basically, what you need to do is you need to be aware of how you identify the risk, how you analyze the risk, whether it's a risk that you need to take forward. And there are tools that enable you to manage risk. Okay. So it basically allows you to monitor the risks. But we won't focus too much on this at the moment. Okay. So it's for this course, I mean, for this session, just understand that there's a risk management life cycle. You identify the risk, you analyze the risk, you basically plan for the risk, you implement certain actions to reduce the risk, and you review the risk. Okay, whether it's basically ongoing or has it been solved. Okay, so we could have reputation risk. Okay, it could be certain content you created that is taken in the wrong context. Okay, people are talking about you about something that you didn't intend, and it's impacting your reputation. You might have to go on a video and talk about it, or do something else to kind of lower the risk. Data security and privacy risk. Over dependence on platforms like I did. I depended a lot on Facebook, and that suddenly was suspended. So that over dependence on one specific platform is not, it's basically a risk. Financial risks, if you're putting too much money in something, if it doesn't work out, how are you gonna, if you can't pay your rent next month because you spent money on advertising, that's not a good thing, is it? So financial risks, compliance and legal risks as well. Okay, are you compliant? The email, even collecting emails, you have to get consent. Okay, people need to tick a little box to give you consent to be able to use that email to email them. Okay, so a lot of this is there on other websites that you'll see, but you might not take it as compliancy, but it's their terms and conditions, disclaimers, these are all important part of your business that you need to put on your website or put a part of your selling when you're selling your product, when somebody's purchasing your product. Is there a refund policy, for example? All of this has to be in there. Okay. You can't just be selling products without thinking about these things. Because if somebody wants a refund, how are you going to do it? But that's why, some of these platforms like TikTok, they have all that integrated, which makes it a lot easier for people. Okay, so they don't even have to think about creating a policy. It's already there. Okay. So carrying on, we have different methodologies of project management. Okay, so there's waterfall, there's agile, there's Prince2, there's RAD. So all of these are different. Okay, so for example, the Prince2 is more structured, waterfall is step by step, agile is more flexible, and RAD is basically a prototype. You get your prototype done quickly. Okay, so each one is different. Okay, so these are methods by which you can do your project management. So if you focus on one at a time, Prince2, and you can go on courses for these. Okay, so if you're interested in project management specifically, you can get a qualification in Prince2, and basically Prince2 project management will teach you that methodology. Okay, so say you're interested in digital marketing, but you want to go for a job role as a project manager or digital project manager. Okay, you would probably want to get a qualification, project management qualification. So you might have a certain methodology you want to follow. And if it's Prince2, then this is going to teach you how you do project management in a structured way, a process-driven approach. And it has clear stages and defined responsibilities. Okay, so that's one method. I mean, it's beyond the scope of this session, but you can go into these on Google and basically learn about these methods in detail. Okay, but what I'm doing is just kind of giving you an overview of this. There's like 4 or 5 different methodologies. Yep. Okay, so I've just opened an account just like I've asked you to, and I've created, basically it said, just bring that down here. So it gives you options of creating boards. So right at the beginning, it should give you an option to create a board. Once you created that board, okay, so I created one board, and it gives you these tasks or like cards, and basically you can use them as your stages of your project. Okay, so to do, task, doing, done, and you just keep on adding more on your board. You also have a planner. Okay, so you can connect it with your calendar, but I think that's not free. Let me see. Okay, it might be free actually. So you can connect it to your Google Calendar so you know when to post what. Then you've got your inbox as well. So that connects to your calendar. Then you've got your board. It basically looks like this, where all the boards then can go into your calendar. Okay, so once you connect to the calendar, the boards that you create will go into your calendar. And then you can switch between boards. So you've got the project management. This is the one I created, but you've got templates as well. You've got different ones you can go into. So this one is like a template. So you've got some that's already in there. So it gives you an idea. So you've got resources, card, you've got to do, pending. So it's basically to organize your project. So every time you want to add a card, you just basically click on add card, and you can write in here. So you're adding to that resources section that you've created. Okay, and then you create another one. You can keep, so you're basically adding towards each one. So as long as this makes sense to you, it's really quite flexible in what you do. There's no right or wrong. It's basically a tool for you to manage your project. So this could be your initial phase, okay, your initial planning. Then it could be the main planning side. Then it's like your implementation, your execution, and then your review. And then for each section, you're basically adding these cards. making sure it's all complete. Okay. And then the good thing about it is you can share it with your team. So you can share it with others. So you can all kind of collaborate and work together. But what I want you to do is just have a play around, not now, but have a play around with Trello, the free version, and just try to understand it. I think there's a tutorial at the beginning as well that takes you through how everything works. And there's lots of tips and stuff along the way. So just kind of play around with it. If you're not sure what these things are, just hover over it. So power ups, automation, filter cards. You can also watch tutorials online on Trello and learn about it. But in a sense, it's basically a tool for your project management. Okay, so I'm just going to take it back to one. Right. So for now, just kind of have a account open, and in when you can, just play around with Trello and see if some of the stuff that you picked up on this session you can apply it on the software. And what I would recommend is basically watching some tutorials on YouTube. Okay, there's lots of tutorials on Trello on YouTube that you can actually. I think they have a channel themselves as well, but you just have to understand the basics to be able to use it.